Yo, welcome to another episode of In Space. I'm your host Chris Khan. I got a special group. This is probably the most people I hadn't had on a recorded show since I started this thing, man. But um yo man, what it actually I think I hit Charles, Rocky, and Folarin. I think like Friday or Saturday we talked about putting together the show. Chaz had a show, had a Twitter Spaces yesterday, and yo man, like for those that don't know, if you don't know about the name in itself, is pretty much made off of what we did as a community through Twitter and through Spaces. And this show is gonna be strictly going through moments, going through um what's been built and what's gonna happen from here, the good and the bad. But these the people, as far as I'm concerned, it's a lot of folks, man, that we gonna mention. I can't get 20 people up here. So, you know what I mean? Like from from Chaz, Rocky, Charles, Folarin, in the 2 years that this 2 seasons that this really been a thing, like these have been the people from consistently showing up to hosting to taking over to kind of taking it to a new level. These are the people, man. So if y'all don't know them, if y'all not on Twitter, y'all strictly YouTube people, I gotta introduce y'all to them because some of my favorite people, man, that I interact with. So um y'all know Chad, what up?
What up, y'all? Yeah, y'all know, y'all know
Not
me.
What's up, man? How y'all feeling, man?
For Lauren.
What's up with it? How y'all doing?
And then we got Charles, professional Charles, Professor.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's good to be here.
All right, so I gotta start this off, man. And look, for those that aren't consistently on Twitter, I mean, I still get questions like, "What the hell is the Twitter Spaces?" I mean, look, man, the app's there, man. Y'all, you download the app, you look up top, you see a purple little bubble. All them spaces ain't the ones to necessarily click on, but I consider our group in regards to a lot of the consistency that's been put together over the past year or so. I burned my eye, goddamn. In regards to the consistency that's been put together over time here, I think that we've done a good job of kind of building some shit that goes beyond basketball. And I want to hear from y'all and kind of go further into this. Y'all give me a second. God damn. Chaz, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So that's crazy how that happened. But no, it really has been a great community effort. Personally, I feel like a lot of the fervor you've seen the past couple of seasons or so have been, well, they owe it to Chris's platform and providing a platform for all of us to meet and congregate. I'm sure we all were on Twitter. We all shared our thoughts. I know for me personally, I didn't even realize that there were so many Pelicans fans. That was kind of some shit you said. Like, who your favorite team? Pelicans. That wasn't something you was like loud and proud about. You know what I'm saying? But I think a good place to start would be how each of us came into the fold. Even getting up there to speak, because it takes a little courage to get up there to speak. So I'll start with Rocky, Folarin, and finish with Charles. Rocky, how did you originally discover the Spaces and decide to come on stage?
The funny part about me getting in Spaces is I was in a Pelicans group chat with some younger kids. Well, I don't call them kids; they grown men, but right. Compared to me, they're like real young. And they was like, "Rocky, you need to come to the Spaces after the game." And I was like, "What the fuck is a Spaces?" Oh, I'm sorry. Can I curse on here?
Not supposed to, but go ahead. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Go ahead.
No. I'm gonna keep them in. I can rein them in. I said, "What is this? What is it?" No, blame the drill sergeant.
I curse on that.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll taper as many. But I said, what is Spaces? And they told me what it was. So I came in. Not gonna lie, the first time I came in, I was like, what in the hell is going on in here? And Chris was hosting, you was up there talking, and y'all had the pause stuff. And I was like, man, I'm too old to be up in here listening to this. So I checked out. Then the next game, they said, Rock, come back to the Spaces. They're having a good conversation about BI. And I think then y'all were having a conversation about whether or not BI was playing to his abilities. This was the first year, not last year. And so I went in, and I think was after a game, got up. They said, "Man, say what you said in the group chat in the spaces." So I said, "Cool, I ain't, they can't see me. I have PTSD. They can't see me, so whatever." Hit the little button. Chris, let me get up there on the mic. And I mean, from there, it was history, man. It was just like family. We all up here talking about the team we love, the things that we want to see from them, and the success that we want. Everybody want a ring, so and everybody want to see the guys on this team, regardless of what the last name says, it still say Pelicans in the front succeed. So just got on the platform, really enjoyed the community, the vibes that Chris had set for it. Chaz, I enjoyed the comedic atmosphere that you have provided. So I just hop back in every game, and hey, here we are right now. So that's how it started for me.
Man, I think the fun part about it, and one of the people that I think about is, I mean, actually from this group, the only person I remember really knowing and interacting with. I mean, I won't say knowing, and it's funny now because I've met all of you in real life, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not many of these that are put together where people can actually say that, but I've met all of you in real life. We talk in the in the group chat, so on and so forth. But Folarin's the only one out this group that before Spaces that I can remember having like conversations or talking with, through random debates or Twitter posts that was out there over time. And now it's like, dog, it's grown. Like, I think in regards to Pelicans fandom, at some point, there's going to have to be a before Twitter Spaces era and an afterwards, because so much has really changed. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like the team was able to make the play-in, not this past season, but the season before, and a lot slowly started to change and get better. But I mean, I'll be honest, man, I don't know how much of that happens in that the way that it did without us. Because I remember, man, it was some of them games, man, when I put like early in the season where I put out that I was hosting the spaces where, had a title whenever, and people would be up there like, yo, we don't need this shit. Like I swear to God, I swear, like, yo, you know what I mean? The Sun, I remember them all. Like, we don't need this team's 6 and 2-14. Why are we doing this? What? And I look, and it'd be 40, 50, 60 people in there, and it's like, well, shit, somebody need it, right? And it's just been consistent with that. And I think, yo, man, like, it's crazy to me to think about now, like, so many people that I didn't talk to, that I didn't know, that I've met strictly because of this. Folarin, with you being the people or one of the folks that I talked to before, like, what do you remember? Like, what's the biggest difference to you before Pelican Spaces was a thing and where we are today?
I think more than anything, it may be just a little more engagement, and like, I guess that's crazy to say out loud, because like that's what Twitter is really for. Like, you say you remember me engaging with you, but I, like, for some reason, I don't remember that. Like, and I think I remember like very early on, but most of my dealings were like early on with like Lonzo fans, and kind of like when the rebuild like first happened, and then I think that's when I was kind of still partly invested like a lot in the Saints, where like half of my attention was split between the two. So I think the engagement is different, and I think it's done exactly what I don't even know if you set out to do this, Chris, or even I don't even know if you even like expected this outcome when you first done it. But I think it's just magnified our voice, and I guess like really put forth that, like Chaz just said, like he didn't even know we had this many Pelicans fans. And I think that like just seeing people come near and far Australia and in Spain and like just folks all over. Like it's really just kind of proof that like yo, it is a lot of us and like people are passionate. So like for me, I don't remember what game it was that I hopped in the first spaces, but I remember I hopped in, I was listening for a little bit, and like like growing up, like I've had phases where I wanted to work with kids, I wanted to work with teachers, and everything with my accident, I've kind of always been told, or rather told by a lot of people, that like I should be speaking, not necessarily like just really professionally, but just like speaking to people, because it like I really went through a tough time. Like it wasn't really looking good for me. And so like I guess listening to y'all and just feeling how like welcoming y'all were, like initially it was like, while I have all these thoughts about, this team currently where we all, what has happened over the first 2 years. And, I kind of want my opportunity to talk. So I hit the button, I got up there, and I remember, I don't know if it was you, Chris, or who it was, but y'all was kind of joking and was like, Swin, is that you? Like, and I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I forgot about that.
because you was like,
That's
like
crazy.
you saying some shit that, you know what I mean, and that's what made me feel good, because again, like I've had so many interactions with people, and like again, like having met y'all, like telling people, like everybody interactions are different, but I can honestly say some of the best people that I've met have been over this last year, and because of all this shit. And so for me, like I don't know why, but I really take it to heart when people get to disrespecting y'all, that I've really had people come at me sideways for just defending y'all, and like just really telling people like, yo, we don't all have to think the same. And I think that's the biggest thing when it
Mhm.
comes to fandom. And I think that's what fandom is. Like fandom is being emotional, fandom is being irrational, fandom is having expectations,
Mhm.
is talking shit. It's, you know what I mean, it's all of those things compacted into one. And so like you've given me an opportunity. It's okay that some people feel like I ramble on, or I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm appreciative to the voice I've been given, and the people that really that like has started to know me beyond just, you know what I mean, for Lauren, like me and Charles, I was just in Denver, and we linked up, and that um what's the word, that genuineness, I don't know if genuineness is a word, but that genuineness that I felt day one, from Charles, from Chaz, from you, Chris, from Fry, from Lito, from Justin, is like it's been second to none. So like y'all already know how I feel about y'all, but this been this been a gift. And because of that, like Rocky and Rail started they show, and last year they had me and Charles on there to talk about about the draft, which I was a very appreciative of that. So any opportunity that I get, even like today, to like have my voice heard, it means a lot, because I'm just a random nobody that only knows so much. Like probably all y'all, I'm sure, knows more basketball than me, or I would say no more basketball than me. So I'm just appreciative. You know what I mean?
You know, and for Lauren, you talked about a lot of things that I forgot, and some of them in just regards to all the, I wouldn't call them spinoffs, but just like the different the different things that have kind of taken place, whether it be with groups or with individuals since spaces, right? Like some of the people that was, that I can vividly remember in the beginning, like it slowly, the folks that became, I guess, more important to the show in the middle towards today, like it's so many different segments, right? Like five, right, in the beginning, Five would jump on every
Yep.
single show, whether it was a game on or not, whether he was coming from the arena, and that ends up turning into him, like now he covers the team. You know what I'm saying?
That's amazing.
Now
I
Five
don't
was,
understand. Amazing.
yeah, like Five was talented enough to do it regardless, but thinking about that now, it's like shit, like that happened, right?
Right.
Like Lau, he's one of the people from Australia you spoke about, Folarin. The motherfucker went on tour. He went on tour in New Orleans. He spent a week in New Orleans. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, talked to everybody that he possibly could. Got merchandise, met Dyson Daniels, like all this shit. That probably doesn't happen without spaces. I mean, it's just so, it's crazy. And Charles, I'm gonna pass it to you now, man. You can talk about your introduction, but like there was a spaces last night that Chaz will get into, and he hosted along with Rocky, a debate. It started at 7:00. Now I don't know when it ended, but
almost 2.
I don't know when it ended, but I looked back up and it was midnight.
Was it like 2 something?
It was 7 hours total. It ended at like 3:00 here. I had got a lot done while we was all talking.
That's it. Like people might look at that and say, "Yo, what the fuck going on?" That's it. Like I look at that and say, "Yo, like that's just community, bro."
Yeah, that's a family reunion.
Yeah, you can't force that.
Okay.
And it's not the first time that's happened. Rocky's hosted it. Rocky and Folarin have hosted a space that I feel like we did 2 spaces like back to back. We did like 2.5 hours and then like 5 hours, like the very next day. And my perspective on it is, look, I remember writing a letter to, I think it was Jimmy Smith.
Oh God.
Like in 2014. And this dude had the audacity to tell me to kick rocks, right? Because you could define Pelicans fandom, Hornets fandom with one word: apathy. These Twitter folks, these Twitter fingers don't know how good they got it. They can come on there and yell at Chaz and yell at whoever. Y'all so stupid. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. And I'm sitting there saying, man, I remember when you could yell into the atmosphere, and like the Hornets, aren't they in Charlotte?
Yeah,
nobody cares.
Man, I love LJ and Grandmama. I'm like, bro, like we got Chris Paul, we got Peja Stojakovic, like we have a really good team. Like we could actually win a championship. Like people don't understand like what this team needs more than anything is just, if you're hot or even if you're cold, but like just don't be like lukewarm, like don't be apathetic, and don't take it for granted the differences of opinions that are out there, and the fact that even if you don't like someone else's opinion, it's coming from a place of reason, it's coming from a place of fandom or support, it's coming from a place of knowledge, and it adds to the conversation. So when I hopped into the space, I saw your name, Chris, and you had written a couple things in the past. One of the articles that you had written, I want to say you wrote it with you and Kevin did a series on comparing the current roster to different songs in New Orleans history, right? And I remember reading that, and I've followed you and a couple other guys. So when I saw you was doing a space, I'd seen other teams doing it. I've seen other, topics come up. I'm like, shit, the Pelicans, a space? All right, let me hop in here. And the conversation was good. I didn't agree with a lot of the different things, but my history with this team was, that's a good thing. That's coming from a place of building this fan base up. It's genuine. It's organic, which we know that this team has struggled with organic type, whatever. So I wanted to support it, and I figured I'd hop up there and have a couple of conversations where I felt comfortable and knowledgeable to kind of contribute, and it just kind of took off from there, man. And to Folarin's point, I met all of y'all, had a chance to meet Rocky at Summer League, hopefully get to link up with her again. Folarin gonna be my dog for life, no matter what happens with the Pelicans. And it all started from you had a grand idea and it took off. So I appreciate you for that.
Appreciate that, man. So Rocky, I said in the beginning that, right, I couldn't bring 20 people up here. And I mean, I say that because the group chat is full of, it's full of individuals that come into spaces, and that, and it's it's changed over time, but it's a lot of different individuals and voices that have mattered, right? Like, I mean, you know,
Right.
you got Chuck, you know, Everett had a time, and still has a time. You know, James had a time. Harrison, like, you know, I remember the first show I think mid season I was a part of, the Harrison popped up. I was like, he talking like a burner. Like, where is he been, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? But like,
who are you?
Yeah, you know, now,
Robot
every time you look, like, you know what I mean, he there. It's so many people. Kai, right? Like, my dog Champ. I don't know what Champ is, but y'all remember Champ.
Yeah.
Champ used to come in and say crazy shit all the time. And you know, one of the moments just so happened to be with, you know, Antonio Daniels that went a little, you know what I mean? But
what we doing? My daughter's here.
Yeah.
What we doing?
People won't forget, but bro, like, you know, like, just like that.
What you did to James? James used to, at the beginning, James used to be in every space too, and then that boy fell off the face of the earth. I think it was Chaz that did him something.
I ain't know that or nothing. I ain't know that nobody knows.
It's not. But
it really.
I know that about it.
What's
like,
crazy though?
Put it in perspective, it really is an evolution of like the very beginning, the middle, and like where we are now, and the people that have kind of come through and had that. Like, it really is an evolution in such a very small time of, like, again, to Charles' point, like what you started. And like, Chris, I'm gonna ask you a question, like when you first noticed Spaces and you had this idea that I'm gonna see what this about, I'm gonna see what this like did you think that like it was gonna take off this far? Did you think that like it was gonna like open doors for other people like Chaz and Five? Like, what did you make of this or think of this when you decided to start it?
Man, like, you know, I just thought it was something that nobody was doing consistently, and I just felt like at that time, like, the people needed something. I saw all these. I felt like I seen a lot of different Pelicans fans that was like separated and talking and different. It was different cliques and different setups, like already to talk, but nobody was pulling up having these conversations together. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like, fuck, like, if like there had to be, the communication was already off the place. The organization was already dysfunctional, right? Like it was what it was. You know, I feel like if we was gonna suffer and we was gonna suffer online, it made sense to put together like one space where everybody did together. Now, I didn't know that I was gonna do it after every game, and I forgot when that idea came up. I think like the original Antonio Daniels show where he popped up and it got like 600 or 700 people is when I was like, all right, well, maybe this is something here. Cause I think the first show was after Kristen Clark dropped the article about the Zion Griff piano thing. And I was like,
piano man.
Cause there was other people doing spaces, but like there wasn't a market here. And I was like, man, I was just tired of folks that wasn't like, that had nothing to do with New Orleans, that didn't know. Similar to what Charles was saying, that didn't know, still calling them the Hornets, or still was ever like speaking on. I was like, yo, this our problem. You know what I'm saying? We the ones, like, let us be the ones to tell you, like, and we gonna cuss them out. Like, all right, cool. But I'm tired of people that just dismissing, not talking about, like, let us, because we don't even know if the team gonna be here that much longer. Like, that was my mindset. Like, at the time, like, I'm thinking about down the lines, like, man, like, this got to be a spot at worst for people to vent and come together instead of having these silly conversations. Let's do it. And the characters ended up changing, and that's where, now Rocky, you've been hosting. You and Folarin been doing a lot of the hosting for last season, and that probably be the thing going forward. I want to ask you the biggest change that you've seen since you first originally joined until now. And then I'm gonna move to Chaz, because Chaz had a pivotal part, like, in a lot of this, whether the characters changed or not. So I'll go to that. But Rocky, what's your biggest, like, what are your biggest observations in regards to, the first year to, being a part, coming up, being a guest until now, like pretty much hosting them all. And you right there, season tickets, get a chance, you get a different view that, a lot of us, Folarin as well, that we don't necessarily get driving home doing these things. Every game, win or loss, up until the playing game, there's 1,000 people in there. And I ain't gonna repeat the things that you said because but we talked about it. We ain't gotta go back through it, but we know what was said, but it was out of passion. You know what I'm saying? It was, it was what it was, right? It was valid in some respect. So go ahead.
I don't even remember that conversation, Chris.
Yeah.
I hope you ain't talking about that one with them Lakers fans in there, but
Oh no. We
seriously.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about the devil on the large stage. But look, over the course of going from actively participating to hosting has been crazy. Bless your heart for doing it for when you was doing it. But it's a lot that goes into it. And oftentimes I could be, like you say, you needed some time with your girl, right? Well, I didn't have none. Well, I have one now. But, as I was hosting, I'm going from attending Chris's shows, enjoying speaking, 5-10 minutes or whatever, saying what I got to say, amping the crowd up, and dropping the mic and dipping. Well, when you're hosting it, it's a whole nother ballgame. And so just going from watching, I must say, new faces came in, new stories, lots more drama, just trying to keep it still leveled off and respectful in our environment. But it has been quite entertaining. It's a long ride from the Smoothie King Center back to Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And so it is thoroughly entertaining. That's why I continue to do them. But it's also, like I said, when we first started this, it's a community. And we all discussing a team that we all love. And we all get to voice our opinions. But we try to still keep it respectful in the platform that you had it, and allow everybody to be able to say how they feel, but to say it in a way where you add to the conversation and not detract from it by being disrespectful towards each other. So it's still just, it's a learning lesson every week because we always have something that pop off. Me, I might have to check somebody, because I don't let nobody disrespect Folarin. I don't let nobody disrespect Charles. I sure as hell don't play no disrespect when it comes down to Chris and Chaz. So, it's a blessing to be able to do it because, y'all, when I came into it, I have PTSD. The most I ever talked was to my damn psychologist. Okay, sit on a little comfy couch, get the little, almost said some pause worthy, Chaz. I almost said it. But y'all know the little 1, 2, 3s, the little ones you put in your hands. 1, 2, 3, what's bothering me? Chaz, see you laughing, but I'm trying to keep it without the pauses. But that was my outlet to speak, going to my therapist every week. And then so as we begin to do these more often and I begin to host them, this ain't nothing but therapy to me. I get to talk to people I love talking to about the game that I love, about the team that I love, from the city I'm from. I still get to go home, get me a little food, and ride on back out. And I really enjoy doing this with Charles and Folarin. I love when you pop in, you give us your, what's up? You stay in for a little while, and it is great. And Chaz always comes in and keep the comedy still rolling. So it's still just a beautiful experience that, man, hopefully, people who watching that don't have a Twitter handle, get you a little fake 1, 2, 3, what's happening account and come check it out, man. I promise you, if you have something that you want to say, we ain't gonna keep you from saying it. As long as you're saying it in a respectful manner, it's all love. That's all it's been for these past couple of months.
I do want to piggyback on what Rocky said. Like, I think for me, the thing that's changed a little bit is and it's kind of disappointing. The cool thing about the spaces is like it's organic and it can kind of go wherever the crowd, because the crowd could be different. It's a different segment of the fan base. Whoever happens to have free time that night. A lot of people can't always be in there. So sometimes it's like a barbershop. Sometimes it's like, it's like first take. Sometimes it's like, like one of those fake GM summits where you pretend to be a GM and you put your thinking cap on or whatever. And what I found is like a lot of people get turned off when it goes one way or another. Maybe it's more criticism, maybe it's more, praise of a certain thing. And I'm like, fight the group thing, y'all. Like if you the only person in the entire space and there's 200 people saying one thing and you the 201st person and you saying something else, like it don't care. It doesn't matter. Like you can still say what you want to say because we are all learning from each other. Like that's why it's funny to me when I'm watching Chaz, because like he has a way of bringing out some of the people who just don't like to hear certain things. And it's funny to me, but as a fan, it's also sad because it's like, I mean, just get up there and state your piece. And I think a lot of times I'm seeing people who disagree with me or disagree with you, Rocky, you, Chaz, and they get kind of turned off. And I'm like, the idea is not to turn you off to where you don't want to engage with the rest of the community. The idea is for it to, because we know that this organization is watching, and whether or not they're learning anything and doing anything with free, sourced, ground source information, that's on them and their people. But you have an opportunity to speak directly to a team that you are spending a lot of money on, a lot of emotional investment, the city and the region that you represent, like. It's not about anything other than talking about the Pelicans for me. And I'll hop into a space with 40 dudes that I have blocked on Twitter if they're willing to have a genuine conversation about the Pelicans in some form or fashion. And I really want y'all to, to engage more the more you dislike a particular topic, because I think it adds to the conversation. So I would love to see that you kind of get back to that.
And you know what, Charles, I definitely agree with that, because, we have the people who have the differences of opinion, right? And instead of them coming in to a platform that we try to keep open to everybody and voicing that opinion, they'll do the Twitter fingers with the shade. And in my community, LGBT community, the shade isn't necessary when you're in a community full of people who all have the same desire to see the team succeed. So if your opinion varies, it's nothing wrong with that. But
it's a good thing.
I would implore you to bring your differences of opinion to the stage, put them out there, and maybe we can continue to have a great from. So yeah, I agree with you, Charles, man. I mean, we just need a little bit more people who are more comfortable in an environment about a team that they love as doing it behind the scenes. So yeah, I agree.
So Chaz, all right, so and y'all can let me know if my memory is off, but for whatever reason, the game.
Now, hopefully, they don't get mad at me for saying they're doing the Twitter fingers, because you think
no. I mean, and and if they do, like, look, they're gonna get in the comments, and it is what it is. They'll be all right. So Chaz, I remember, and me and Lito talk about this a lot. Whatever game it was, I think it was the Oklahoma City game. You were in spaces, you were in a lot of spaces before. I don't remember when exactly which Oklahoma City game it was, not this season, but the season before. And it was the Earl Clark game. And
Gary Clark Jr.?
Yeah, Gary Clark. Yeah.
Who is Earl Clark?
You remember Earl Clark?
Earl Clark.
Yeah, I remember Earl Clark Jr.
Earl Clark, Gary Clark, yeah. And pretty much from there, and it kind of goes into what Rocky was saying and what Folarin often talks about, and what Charles said as well. It's like, like we don't even get to a point, like you should want more voices, especially like in this market, this community. You should want more voices, regardless if you 100% agree with them or not. That like the better the reason it started was because of the lack of voices, the same people talking about the same stuff, whether they agreed or not. You thought they was too positive, too negative, regardless. But it's funny because if we didn't have that mindset of like, all right, we need to hear, regardless if we 100% think agree with it, we need to have these people up here talking regardless, because it might fuck around and change the way that it might change your perspective. It might change the way that you think about something. And I think what's interesting is if we didn't have that open, that style of thinking, we might, like, Chaz may not have been as big of a part of a space as he was, because there was a point in time where it was like we was bringing him up and Chaz had something objective to say every time, and I was like, nah, this ain't the way he think. Ain't no way. But then you get to know him and it's like, nah, he gon' like he really, and not only is this the way he views it and thinks, he got, like, he researched this shit, and he go throw some facts out there to you as well. And maybe that level of confidence, it bothers certain folks. Maybe people, like, we around enough to know some folks that they just, if they disagree with you, they just don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up. And unfortunately, that's just, I think that's more of a society thing than it is even like a community thing, with us. But Chaz, I vividly remember the Oklahoma City game in regards to you to you being a pivotal part of this going forward. What I'm curious about is, I know you were in the Antonio Daniels, that original Antonio Daniels show. I do remember that towards the end. But what I'm curious about for you is, what's the first spaces that you remember being a part of? And when did it come to a point to where you was like, all right, like, I got a lot of things going on. I'm doing a bunch of different stuff, but I want to create content now. And I'm a go, like, and when I do it, I'm gonna be consistent with it, and fuck the thoughts, fuck the, regardless, this is what my mind is. Right. I'm gonna put this out and we'll live with the results.
I'll answer the latter question first, and I can't understate this enough for us, Chris. I've been following your work for like seasons prior, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't think, of course we all realize it, but to not have a gatekeeper spirit or mentality as far as sharing your platform, especially when you kind of created a platform out the mud, and not only did you share your platform, you put other people in positions to have their own platforms. That can't be, stated enough, and that can't be given enough credit to. And because in reality, all you can really do is throw an alley. It's up to the other person, catch it, you know what I'm saying, and run with that opportunity. And that really can't be, because you got, rocking Folarin doing the spaces, hosting the spaces, Charles hosting the spaces, Hot Takes with Chaz, the Rocky and Rail show, Lito has a show, 5, you know what I'm saying, and Boo Crew Media has been a major like stimulus to Boo Crew Media and the things that we have going on over here as a network, as a total collective. And I would say to the organization itself, truly, like I think I told Chris this before when we had the live show for that playing game in San Antonio. I was like, bro, organization, they owe you a lot because it's like, no, we got to keep it real. This ain't the Yankees. this ain't the Red Sox.
They should pay us sometimes to create content, Chaz.
Bro, like for real. It's funny. This sounds arrogant as hell, but it's like when I be talking about this team, I be like, y'all know how lucky y'all are to have us. Like y'all crazy. Y'all don't deserve us. No one, like, dog, before this, and I'm not gonna say anyone's name, but truthfully, like, man, it was rough out there, and there wasn't a lot of people who had transitioned into like visual podcasts. You had some audio stuff that had been going on for a while, but a lot of stuff was still in print. And what you saw what Chris did with the spaces, I believe you started with Green Room, right, Chris? With Spotify. Yeah. So that's just changing with the times and finding that spark to create a domino effect, because Pals 12, all that stuff, in my opinion, that's a byproduct of the spaces.
Is.
But for me, truthfully, I never originally wanted to create like basketball content because it's kind of like, it's cool. Like, it's cool, but you what comes along with it, and there's so many games, and like I don't think people like really appreciate, like, and I don't mean appreciate for its gratitude, but I meant like appreciate for its understand. Like, yo, we do a lot of work. Like, we covered, if there was 82 games this season, we probably covered like 80 post games this year. Like, win, lose, stumped out, step on a rake. We had to cover it. So, that's a really tall task. But as far as people, with their opinions on my opinion, this is my thing. I really don't care what anyone's opinion is, right? My like you might think Lonzo Ball's the greatest player ever, right? And I'll say, okay. Like, I don't think so, but all right, whatever. But somebody, if I said, yeah, I think Gary Clark Jr., colored man's game. I think he's the best player. I think he's the greatest shooter I ever saw. And someone to come say, no, you're an idiot. You should feel exactly how I feel. And I'm like, even if I go and pull up a big stat sheet that say, no, historically, this man has shot 80% from behind the arc. Like, if I just say that, you're like, no, you still should feel the way I feel. And you can't really do anything with those people. So I just, you try to just be professional about it. And, people go low, I go high. I'm not one of those people who's gonna get in the,
okay, Michelle.
Sling. Yeah, I'm not gonna get in the pig pen and sling mud. I just, there's so many gracious people, and again, like you said, Chris, we, you got a community of people. We interact all the time, like people on this panel, and a few of us aren't on the panel, but we all interact all the time. Respectful conversation is always fun, and again, I really kind of, the organization really doesn't appreciate enough. Like, you got a guy, Pelicans Debrief, Bird Rights, Spotify Green Room, Spaces, Boot Crew Media. You know what I'm saying? Chris got credits. Like, you know what I'm saying? Chris been in the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? So people really should, before they hit send, really take a step back and appreciate what people are providing for you.
Right.
Yeah, man. Because that's what's crazy, and I don't even. That's another element that I don't think about, right? Like, it takes, it is a service, you know what I'm saying? And it takes like a lot of time. I've had household arguments with current and past girlfriends about some of this shit. You know what I'm saying? About this team pissing my mood off, or you know what I'm saying, about nah, man, like, I'm about just sitting there talking about the game, whatever the case may be, because it's a sacrifice, and you would, with any sacrifice you want to return, and unfortunately, 20 years there ain't been many returns, and when they do arrive, they don't last long. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think about it from that, from that perspective. And I do want to get to Folarin. Like, I've seen this offseason some fans here and there say, yo, I'm tired. Like, I'm ready. I'm just tired. I'm tired, and I don't know how much more that I can take. Now, I wasn't on there wasn't a Twitter 15 years ago. I wasn't heavy on Twitter when Chris Paul left. I remember when AD left, but I feel like right now is an interesting point in where this team goes and where the season goes. But regardless, I feel like we gonna be there. Folarin, I'm curious for you, through all the ups and downs, being a fan, now talking about the team, giving your thoughts consistently, and having people, take them, and I mean, I've had people come to me and say, Folarin Folarin dope. She knows what she's talking about. That's one of the reasons why, the Swin Cash comment was brought up. I was like, damn, because you were talking about draft picks from 2017. You were talking about players I forgot about. You were talking about trades. You were talking about players that you wanted to be drafted during that period. I couldn't go back that far at that time. That wasn't on my mind. But you can only bring that. That can only be a thing unless you really care and you know what you're talking about and you're passionate about it. That passion has to continue. It has to come from somewhere, and it has to. And with a team that's not bringing you many returns, it's hard to continue to just bring that. Have that. It's like a player with a motor, right? Natural for you, for Lauren. What do you think? With all the different changes, continues to bring that passion to where you want to be a part of these spaces where the team is mediocre or underwhelming or going through trauma, whatever the case may be. What has you locked in as you are still?
For one, it's because I think I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it's kind of a world where like maybe one day basketball and a basketball team won't be in New Orleans anymore. And you know that's kind of sad, and because basketball is my favorite sport, and like what I like to do while I go to the games, I've been going to the games for about 5 seasons now religiously, even though this past season was my first like as an actual season ticket holder. And like that's like what I do. Like people know me by name, know me by face, like because of that. So like for me, it's like all this isn't in its entirety, it's bigger than like just spaces. Like I'm becoming known like in the Smoothie King, and just in general when it comes to the Pelicans. And like I appreciate, and again, one another reason why I appreciate y'all is because like again, like y'all knowledge, Chris, like Charles, like y'all knowledge go back like Dan Dick Kyle and Stokovich and all these guys. And like I'll be lying if I said like I was ever um into it back then. I think when I really became a fan, and I probably feel like I don't remember much, but I think my first Pelicans game when I came back from Shreveport was, I think, the year before we swept the Blazers, and it was a OKC game against Westbrook. And I went, and ever since then I've kind of been locked in. So I went through like when we kind of were at the very beginning of kind of the do it big era with Drew, AD, Boogie getting one of my favorite players who was a short time lived, Nico Mirotic. Like Nico is one of my favorite Pelicans players. And his time was only short lived here, and ever since then, I really kind of been locked in. And I think like what keeps me locked in, one, again, like, is the people. And I don't want to keep saying that and make it sound fake, but it's again because like y'all genuine, and outside of like the assholes that excuse my French, that want to be right, or just people who are just downright just ignorant and have no business or no place talking to people and disrespecting people the way they do over sports, over a child's game. It's really just the people. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Like, even if I up and decide to move, or I up and decide to, become a Pacers fan, or a fan of this team or a fan of that team, like, I'm always gonna be locked in with y'all because that's what it is. And I think I'm holding out hope, because as frustrating as it's been, in like the many mistakes that I personally can count, that I think, like I said last night, like mistakes to me that range from everything to questionable to very bad, it's still one of them things where it's like, like Charles often say, like with a little bit of luck and with talent, like I do think there's something to be had here. And I'm holding out hope for somebody to wake up and realize, like, how special this Pelicans team could be, or how you can have two organizations on airline drive and both of them
Be
have
successful.
shared success at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what I want more than one thing, because like you said, Chris, like too often, too long, and too much, we've had like so many people speaking on the Saints, speaking on the Pelicans, just saying all kind of ridiculous shit. Some of it true, some of it not, some of it exaggerated, some of it we didn't want to hear. We needed to hear the whole works. And it's just like, I can't see why, one is more successful than the other, especially when you consider the fact that they're both owned by the same person. And again, I think for me, it's just holding out hope that like that same kind of TLC and resourcefulness and aptitude and desire and want that's kind of been given and put into black and gold, like I want that with the Pelicans, and I think it could be accomplished, and I'm holding out hope, that we see that. And for again, like Rocky Drive, nearly 2 hours to, what I mean, to see this shit. And high, low, rain, see the snow, you know what I mean? In my chair, I'm
Mhm.
traveling to get there, and I'm watching these dudes. So like you said, return on investment. I want them to see some shit through. Like
Mhm.
win. Like, give us something to be proud of. And that's what I said last night. Like I get, you know, like some things like are beyond remorse, and like like Charles said, like sometimes you may not even agree with somebody like Chaz, or you may not agree with Lido, but I think even if you don't agree, like there's a understanding of like it's coming from a certain place, and like people not just get up and like as much like contrary to belief, it's not a matter of any one of us getting up here to just stir the pot, but understand that like even me, I may have some inside knowledge, but I know for a fact y'all have a lot more than me. So that's what I be trying to remind people of. Like, these dudes not just getting up here talking out of their ass and to stir the pot, but they coming from a place where like they know more than me, which means they know more than you. You know what I mean? And when I consider that, it's just like not only do we need it, um because again, we've heard too many people like on the outside saying stuff, and it's just I'm locked in. You know what I mean? I'm locked into the shit crumble till they move to Seattle or whatever. I'm just locked in, and with being locked in, I'm hoping that the end goal is, like, in reality, all of us, high, low, good, bad takes, terrible takes that make sense, whatever. We just really want a consistently good and healthy team, and people
Mhm.
don't realize that. So yeah, I'm locked in, Chris.
Charles, I feel like you'd be good at summarizing what I'm about to ask. If you had to, I guess, I mean, based off of where it's been and where it's at now, because we're gonna close up soon. How would you summarize for someone who's never spent a minute inside a Pelicans Twitter Spaces? Let's say after a game. Let's say after a game.
A
You
win or a loss?
either.
Cause that don't matter.
'Cause that's
But you know what? But that's but I mean that's kind of fun too. Now you know what? Let's do that. Let's do that. After a win and after a loss, someone who's never been inside the Pelican space that listen to this and say, you know what, I want to see what that's about. I want to have my first introduction. Maybe they don't like it the first time, like Rocky said her first time. How would you summarize what they're walking into after a win, and how would you summarize it after a loss?
Give the PG-13 version.
I'll be look. I'm gonna be nice. Like,
Nah, you don't have
if
to be. You don't have to be. We almost an hour in now.
if if you're a sports fan and you ever wonder like how the Yankees became the Yankees, like outside of winning, right? Or how the Lakers became the Lakers, or the Cowboys became the Cowboys, right? I like to think that there was a group of people that was just going through it, right? They was watching Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and saying to themselves, man, if they could just get some pitching, they gonna be all right one day, And then 100 years later, one day is here, and they've won 27 championships in 100 years, and the sun rises and sets on the New York Yankees. And I say to myself, this Pelicans franchise is 18 years old, and the fan base responds the exact way you would expect an 18-year-old to react. After wins,
that's a bar.
That is.
After wins, you can't touch us. You can't tell us nothing. We invincible. After losses, we don't got no friends. Our girl broke up with us. We fail in chemistry. Mom won't leave me alone. Chores. Like, it just seems like how am I going to make it to next week? I just don't get it. Because I like to think, man, we are just in the beginning of something that's going to be really, really awesome for this city. I'm not old enough. My ties to New Orleans don't go deep enough to the Saints. I jumped on the bandwagon in 2005, 2006 for obvious reasons. But I don't know the heartache of the 70s and the 80s and paper bags and all of that. But I'm going through it right now with these boys. And all I'm trying to do is hold on, because there's going to be a tomorrow. And I just don't want to give up before we have that team. I don't even think it's going to be a championship team. It's going to be a 7 seconds or less type team, or a grit and grind, or, just a team that just captures the city. And I want to be a part of that, more so than I want to be a part of, we're going to celebrate like crazy whenever we do win a title. Like, that's what we do. We're going to party. But we got to get to a point where we can get some consistency. And that's why I tap in. I don't want to give up before we have that moment. And if you tap in after a win, you're gonna see the sausage being made, unfortunately, because that's just what we're a young team. But I believe that this fan base is going to be one of the more dynamic fan bases in all of sports, because New Orleans is just like that. We see it with the Saints, and I want the Pelicans to represent that too.
Listen, that was well said, Charles, and I'm not gonna do it. I was about to do that, but Chaz,
I know he.
Yo, man, look, well said, brother. The 18-year-old, I didn't even think about that, and in all honesty, that was dope, man. Well said, Folarin, Charles. Look, man, there was a Spaces yesterday. It is recorded. Chaz has it on his profile at Cheddar Chaz. If you guys want to tap in and just sit and get a glimpse of what you're talking about. I mean, and there's gonna be many as draft season comes up, free agency, and then once the season starts, you'll be able to see the ones that are hosted by Folarin, by Rocky, Charles, Chaz, myself, all hopping in. At some point, off season, I'm gonna do one with Larry Nance, and we'll see what that happens, or what happens beyond that with future players that want to come in and tap in with the people. So appreciate y'all as always. Chaz, I do want to close out here because we do have news that we're all gonna talk about, speculate.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Before you close out and get to that part, I just want to let the people who's watching know, the Spaces will be after every game, win or lose. Me, Charles, and Folarin, we're gonna be in there talking about the game regardless. We might be a little elevated when we win. We might be a little sad and somber when we lose. But y'all welcome to come up there on the microphone, get up there and say whatever you feel about the game, win or loss. It's an open platform. And me, Charles, and Folarin, we're going to get together in the coming days leading up to the draft and do our draft series. Talk about it with the peoples, what y'all think we should or shouldn't do with 14. It'll be some topics up there.
Trade. It's gonna be an easy space. 2 minutes.
It's gonna be
trade that bitch.
It's gonna be our thoughts on it, and I'll set it up on my page at One Rock Production. That's spelled a little hood, PRODUSHEN. But I'm quite sure y'all will see it up there, man. It'll be posted up there on a nice little Twitter top line. New Orleans Spaces. We'll be talking about the draft. We'll be talking about the moves that we want the team. It'll be the summer edition. We'll do some summer league while we out there. Y'all just stay tuned, man. Chris provided a platform for us. Y'all free to come to it. This is your team. This is your conversation. Be a part of it, man. Otherwise, don't hit us up in the Twitter box complaining.
You sound like you work for the team. Talk about this is your team. This is your platform. Your community.
I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to get a job. Retirement is boring. I just want y'all to know when y'all get to retirement, it's boring. I spend at least 6 hours sleeping, bored to death.
Chaz, man, close us out, man, with final thoughts on where Twitter Spaces has gotten to, where it's going, and Aaron Nelson thoughts.
Well, as far as the Spaces, man, again, you get the energy you bring in there. You come in there, respectful, like a gentleman or a lady, and that's I think all of us here who have hosted, we don't really allow any attacking of people. When they're on stage, everyone has a voice. Even some people who they may be new to the game, and we give them opportunity to kind of work their way through things, and even Chris, last season provided a platform for all of the lady fans and people who work with the team to come in like exclusively for them, and they had a great platform. It was an excellent show. Just watch yourself. I'm saying just watch yourself, because all of us.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time, Chaz.
Just watch yourself, because there's different levels to professionalism, and everybody don't respond the same way to stuff. It can go
accordingly.
And to put a little icing on that, we are not paid when we get hosting Twitter Spaces. So conduct yourself accordingly. Don't come in there trying to curse us out, and we ain't on a paycheck, because we gonna cuss your ass back. We are not getting paid by Elon.
I'm gonna say this, for me, especially, the vault stay full. The vault stay full. I hope I never have to use these things. But as far as Aaron Nelson's the Aaron Nelson news, credit to him and his career. I'm sure he's gonna. Yeah. Well, he's got there's been some restructuring. There's been some restructuring as it pertains to Sir Nelson, and again, very, very, very achieved man. Great career in Phoenix. Saved a couple of legendary people's careers. Really hope he bounces back, and want to be careful to where we lay the majority of the blame with things, because there are street sides to every story. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we'll be hearing Mr. Nelson's story soon. So
I'm buying that book.
He might have checked out of that with an NDA at this point, the way as bad as it's been.
Well, we'll find out.
We shall see.
We're gonna find out. So, yo, man, appreciate y'all as always, man. This was a great show. Tap in, man. Look forward to what all these people got going on, man. I love what we're doing, and I love the fact that everybody, while I got love for a good majority of everybody, I enjoy putting people from our culture. I enjoy putting Black people on. I enjoy having them be in situations where they can have their own platform to do whatever the hell they want, whether it's by me or not, and whether it's by circumstance or it was just meant to be. you know, I think we doing that, and now other people putting other folks in situations, and we just continue that, man. And if it all started from a dysfunctional organization that we hope to get better dribbling a basketball, so be it. Happen, and these individuals are big parts of, you know, of it. So you see them, you know what I mean? You see them online, treat them with the respect that they're gonna treat you with, man, and we'll, you know, and we keep it like that. Shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook as always, man. Y'all see the code BOOT if you are new and you have not signed up, please use it. There will be referrals in place through it. Birdsall Law Firm as well as New York Life. For Charles, for Folarin, for Chaz, myself, for Rocky. I'll holler at y'all next time.